But it doesn't even let me share to Facebook or anywhere anymore. I just got to push the button and start talking. So, unscheduled conversation, and I thought I had a moment, and I had a topic I wanted to at least just post up. And if folks end up joining, that's fabulous. Let me say, before we get too far into this, let me see if I can find a way to share this out. I don't believe I can, so it's probably just going to be me monologuing. But here's what I was thinking. I mean, oh gosh, excuse me. I had I just had some spicy food, and I think I might die. No water either. Okay, we'll manage. The topic of discussion, based on a video I did the other day about the nostalgia premium. I was thinking, saw some comments on the videos which were very insightful and thoughtful and fabulous, and I need to start giving some games away for great comments because some really good stuff happening there. Hey, John, good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. That video generated a lot of comments, and what I was thinking was one of the differences. I'm trying to pass this through my mind because I literally just had it and didn't want to lose it. Was in the old days, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we got a game. It came in the mail. We broke out the rules. We read it. We played with the counters. We moved stuff around on the map, and we tried to work out if it was playable or not playable. Hey, Scott, good to see you, my friend. And if you're here joining, I see there's 3 or 4 of you. Just say hi or whatever, just so we can acknowledge you. But what would happen is that if you didn't get it, or you didn't understand it, or it was too hard, or you had a whole bunch of questions, and particularly for me being in Australia, you're not dropping the 65 because it was like $1 or something back in the 80s to send a question to SBI by mail, and you had to structure it with a yes or no answer. And as you can probably tell with my videos, I'm not very good at being terribly succinct. So you would just work it out, and if you couldn't, bygones, right? You would get together with your mates, and maybe your mates had played the game, and you could, oh no, we house ruled this, or we did that, or someone got a letter from the designer, or whatever, and so you would work it out. But otherwise, you just kind of like meandered your way through the game to try and figure out what the hell you should do, right? And so, so I look at now, and I look at, and I'm gonna share a story with you that does not shine a positive light on Kevin. So I had purchased GD42, the TCS game, and I had found or discovered the CSW forums. This is 13, 14 years ago, so it's been around for 4 million years, right? And I got on the TCS page, and I was recording all these little videos of my gameplay, and I had a video camera on a tripod. It was so serious, and I couldn't work out the frickin' rules to save my life, right? So I was having issues, and so I was asking questions, but because I'm playing and then typing in the questions. And CSW is not known, the readers are not known for being uber responsive. And I was posting question after question after question. And finally, the guy who I really don't like now, and probably partially for this reason, goes, because I'd asked a whole bunch of questions, and I was making these videos, and I wanted to, this is before I even posted things. I was just recording them. And then I was thinking about posting them. I posted this question, and this guy answers, "Who is this person, and why is he in my hobby?" Right? So I was that annoying guy that's like, "Hey, movement points. Does that, does that mean that I can save movement points for the next turn? Well, no, dumbass, you can't. What is a CRT? What does that stand for? Like, literally, those sort of basic questions that I was asking was being that annoying because this is just as I was getting back into wargaming. Anyway, the immediacy of the web and email and all these other things and online FAQs and video tutorials and all this sort of stuff, I think really heightens the level of expectation that we're going to get an answer straight away. Like if I don't get an answer on BGG in 30, 40 minutes, I start to like get kind of aggravated. I'm like, oh, come on, man, come on. Someone's going to be reading this. There's thousands of us, or hundreds of us, depending on the game, who read these forums. Surely someone can answer the question. And half the time, what will happen for me is that, hey, Gavin, good to see you. Michael Welker, good to see you. Look at you boys. Michael DePaul, the fellas are in the house. Mike Welker from Ohio, and Rollo Baker. Good to see you guys. All right, must be European. Rollo, I'd love to know how to pronounce that correctly. Is it literally Rollo or is it Rollo? Anyway, so I think what would happen for me is that I would post the question, I'd go back, refresh. No one would reply, right? And so I'll go back and reread the rules, or I go take a break and have a coffee, or more importantly, I'd go have a beer or a whiskey or whatever the case may be, and then I come back and read the rules, and then boom, off it goes in my head. Oh, I get it now. Go into BGG, delete the question because Kevin's a dumbass, and we shouldn't post that question because it makes you look even stupider than your usual self. So with that enormously long 7-minute introduction, I'm curious to hear from people who are playing games and teaching themselves and asking questions online. Do you find the ability to immediately get the answers you're looking for to be a positive thing or a negative thing? Like there's at some point there's this we stop trying to learn, because I'm curious to know what people think, because I think at some point we just go, well, I'll just get online and ask a question because I don't understand the question, so I'll just ask. Why bother reading the rules or rereading the rules or thinking about the rules? And I think back in the old days, back in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and I wasn't playing games in the 60s, but when did I get my first game? 12, so it'd be 75 was my first war game. AH Waterloo, right? Avalon Hill Waterloo. For that, I just played the game at rules as written, right? And I interpreted it my own way and kind of muddled my way through it. So I'm curious about how we just had to deal with what we had, think about things, pause on things, take our times, take a deep breath, not get anxious about not getting an answer in 30 minutes, Kevin, or 20 minutes or 5 seconds, right? So it's curious to me how we handle all this sort of stuff in the wargaming world today. I think we've got PDFs of the rules and living rules, and people create game summaries. Like, oh, here's a rule summary for you. I mean, I've started to look at games and go, okay, let me check online and see if there's a rule summary, because that will speed up my learning cycle, and I've got to invest less time in the rules. And a lot of time, when you're investing less time in the rules and relying on a video tutorial, or a written summary, you tend to skip things. You tend to gloss over the meat and potatoes, the peeling back of the layers of the onion of a game. I think it's important for us to kind of slow down. And immerse yourself in the game. Read the designer notes. spend some time with the rules, shuffle a few pieces around, and then when you get some level of experience, whatever it is, whether it's all the way down here and just starting and you're playing simpler games or you're playing complex games, just take your time and try and work it out. So I'd be curious to see what you guys think. Yeah, and so now I'm seeing some comments pile in here, so this is great. Michael, yeah, I think muddling is good too, and you've been muddling since '74, so God bless you, right? That's it's a great hobby for that, for just exploring. Even if you don't play the game, I had a game laid out the other day, and I'd marked all the VP locations on the plexiglass, and the maps were kind of a mess, but I got the maps all squared away. Uh, Looked at the unit formations and where they set up, and thought, yeah, okay, this is interesting, but it's not something I want to play right now. And right now, I've got Pacific War, Mark Herman's Pacific War set up it's basically the Guadalcanal scenario, but it's a campaign scenario. I think it's 8 months or 9 months or something like that. And we'll do 3 or 4 months. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Actually, I think 6 months is the minimum now that I think about it. But we're going to try and run through that, and see how it goes. And I've got all the pieces out. And when one of the 4 new games arrives, that I'm waiting on, I'm just going to pack it up and it's all good. But I'm enjoying pondering the rules because there's so many little nuances with Pacific War. How do amphibious landings work? What's the interplay between the time mechanic and the command points, and wonderful things like that. And it's just good to noodle on things sometimes. And I'm beginning to appreciate that more. Right now, just to deal with Scott's question, do I draft my own rules summaries for games? I do 2 things. The first thing I do is in the margins on the rulebook, which I usually print out if there's a PDF copy. Otherwise, I mark it up, and sucks to be you when you buy my game, but my secondhand game. But I'll let you know if I've done that. On the margins, I'll net out what I believe the meat of the rule is. So let's say that we're talking about enemy zones of control, and there's a rule for light zones of control and heavy zones of control. I will make a note for each one that it's +1 movement point. So I'll just put +1 MP for light zones of control, and then I might draw the symbols of the units that generate those light zones of control. And for heavy, I'll put if it's +2, I'll put +2, and then armor, right, or whatever the case may be, or fortifications, or blah 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 blah. Do zones of control extend into a city or out of a city? I'll make a note on that, right? The second thing I do, excuse me, if it's a complicated game or involved game, rules that I stumble on a regular basis when I find myself tripping up on the same rule over and over, I'll create a sheet and I'll make little notes about those rules. And then also the scenario specific rules. I find if I write things down on a sheet of paper and try and do them in relative sort of sequence of play order, or I might print out the sequence of play and then add in notes there. I do that quite a bit, just to keep myself from having to dive into the rule book a lot of the time, particularly if there's not a great index or a great not an index. What do they call it? The back. Maybe it is an index. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Like a categorized listing of all the different aspects of the rules that are in there. Anyway, so that's kind of what I do, Scott. If that helps. Rollo says when a designer today on a very complex game interprets his own CR2 two different ways. Yeah, I had that issue with Proud Monster actually, Rollo. I asked a question on 2 different forums, got 2 different answers from the designer, and then I actually had the designer online live with me while I was playing on Vassal with my friend, and he completely interpreted the rule, a different rule in the reverse of what he previously posted. So stuff happens, right? Who knows? Anyway, so I'm curious. Like, do you folks feel like that the immediacy, the instantaneous nature of our communications, does it help or hinder you playing a game? Because if you get super frustrated, I could see you might just pack the game up and go, I've got lots of other games. I'm going to go play this something else because I didn't get my answer in 4 minutes. Right? Is that a thing? Or or are you happy just to sit and mull over the rules and then meander through Facebook, meander through Board Game Geek, meander through CSW? Ask, in Facebook now there are so many tiny little groups that are specific to a particular topic or a game. Like the last 100 yards has a couple of hundred members that are last 100 yards specific guys. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I guess you've got to go join all those groups and then manage the notifications, right? Let's see. Michael DePaul says the quickest responses I get to questions is when I'm following a playthrough. The YouTuber post daily or weekly vids, and several people are watching. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. That's a cool way to get answers. I had started down the path of trying to do some tutorials for folks, and I got such. I would find that I wasn't being precise enough, like 100% accurate, and you just get a lot of people being negative or being critical, and so I don't need that. I don't need that action. So other people do tutorials now. That's great. I will turn my camera on and play the game. I haven't done a lot of live stuff lately, just because I've been hitting a lot of new games, and I find I can't pause the camera when I'm recording, when I'm doing a live show, to mitigate mitigate you sitting looking at the map while I fumble trying to find the damn rule. So I will only do live play now if it's a system that I'm mostly comfortable with, that I can at least do a passingly sensible review, or not review, but playthrough of the game. Hey, Achilles, good to see you, man. And Scott, I'm guessing designers just want to quickly show a large following. Oh man, look, first, I appreciate that, but I don't really have a large following. B, the designer community is probably split 50-50 as to whether or not they want to reply to me at all. There are some guys that I get along really well with, and I can DM them, and it's all good, it's all kosher, because I'll either A, want to ask a really stupid question and not embarrass myself, or B, I'll ask a question that I think is a flaw in the game, and I don't want to highlight that online, and give them a chance to respond, at least, so that if I do a video about that particular issue or topic or concern, that I can have their context and my appreciation of it. Which kind of brings to an interesting point, like the Death Ride system from Grognard Simulations. I have a swathe of concerns and issues with that game system, and I had cataloged all those from one designer and myself, and then two other long-term wargame players. One who's a wargame artist, and I think the designer either didn't want to have that conversation with me, didn't want to hear about it, or was too shy or too nervous to have that conversation just because they didn't want their baby called ugly. And really what I was looking for was an opportunity to share feedback and concerns from people who are not involved in the game, right? They're not involved in the game development. They just got two modules, slapped them together on a table, and put several hundred pieces on a map and tried to work it out. After playing online together for a period of time as well, so we weren't just coming at it raw newbies. And that person, we'd agreed a time to talk and everything, and that guy just sort of shirked me at this con I was at, which is kind of a shame that well, I didn't get a chance to invest some time with him so that we could, with Chris Pasulo, so that we could, talk through those challenges. And now it's too late now because now I've just got my, you know, 4-year-old impressions of what the issues were. So anyway, it is what it is. Now, counter terrorist, who the heck are you? Hi, Kev. What would be great would be examples of play a la Stupid Joe, but for games where there isn't one available from the publisher. Yeah. So look, Stuka does high quality, detailed, very technical setup and heavy edit videos, and they're fantastic. And I love Suka's stuff. Uh, I don't do that. I don't have the equipment to do it. I don't have the inclination to do the heavy editing that's required of those things. Uh, I would be more than happy to grab an example of play and walk through that example of play. But my inclination is that the meat of a game is not in, generally speaking, is not in an example of play. It's in the actual playing of the game, of the campaign game or the scenario or a scenario. And that's where you find all the nuances and the tricks and the little gotchas, and you can peel back the onion on the rules and the mechanics and how the interplay between all the different rules. And for me, that's more interesting and more important to me. I could slap out, shit. I could do a video example of play. I could do 3 a day. I've got 400 games here. I could grab an example of play, of combat, movement, what is EZOX, what is supply, and all those things for all the games I have. But that doesn't fulfill me or make me feel interested in the game. And often I'll do an example of play. I'll walk through it to try and learn the game if I'm struggling with the rules. And I'm like, well, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm not interested. So, whereas I think when we play the game and actually take our time to work it out, we learn more about what the designer's intent was and what the history was and how things all interplay together. Because really good games are going to make you stop and think about how the different systems work together. And I'll give you an example of that. Is it the last Blitzkrieg? What is it called? No, The Last Gamble and Spring Prelude, and even to a certain extent, so I'm looking at Corson Pocket 2 across the way, Red Winter, the Lock and Load system, obviously ASL, The Last 100 Yards, games like that, TCS, all the OCS systems, games like that. And I'm sorry for moving the camera, I'm literally holding my phone while I'm talking to you. Hey there, Magnus. Good to see you, my friend. The All of those games and game systems and GCACW and oh my gosh, Shattered Swords and OST, the old school tactical system. All those games have some wonderful interplay with them that if you just took an example of play and watched it, and that was your learning experience before you decided to buy it, or you bought it and you went, well, that's really not for me. I'm not interested. What you don't get the context of the greater picture of the war game. I don't think that's a thing for me anyway. Yeah, see, damn, that's it, Roller, right there. War game clubs. Whatever happened to wargaming clubs? I started a wargaming club in Australia, and the first time I hosted, I had 20 people at my house, and our house was tiny, 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 and we lived in a really, not a well-to-do neighborhood, and we had guys playing war at whatever the war at sea game is, where you measure with rulers out on this concrete patio, playing this huge naval battle for like 5 hours. My mom lost her shit. She's like, who are all these people? That guy is 35, that guy's 42, you're 12, what are you doing? Or 15, or whatever the case may be. And so But that was a great way for us. You could just, you had to call somebody back then, and then get together at the club or someone's house or whatever and work it out together. But yeah, I miss wargaming clubs. I used to have a great crew in Austin that we would play games together, and if someone in the group said they didn't like a game, most of us weren't going to buy it because we played so many games together that we understood each other's. And apologies for the background, but my wife has just walked back in the house and is receiving calls. We've got a birthday boy today and friends arriving for a sleepover. But the was my point? Yeah. So the club aspect of it and the referral between friends, that's so valuable, and I think we miss a little bit of that. I do anyway, now that I've moved out of the city and into the country, that, I rely on my online relationships to drive a lot of my purchasing decisions these days. So it's interesting. Anyway, let's see. I never look at the player tips until I played the game a few times. It's more fun. Hang on one sec. What's up? I'm online. What's up, babe?
The guys here are giving us a wallpaper. Go on.
Okay, have fun. And feel free to slam that door. It's okay. Real life at the Sharp household. Okay, yeah, so this is a big beef with me, Michael, actually. Never looking at the player, oops, sorry about that. Never looking at the player tips until I've played the game a few times. It's more fun to figure out the best tactics for yourself, although play tips sometimes help you understand the rules too. Yes, they do, but what I find with a lot of those playing tips, when I play the game, I'll start playing and I'll look at those playing tips and I'll start trying to implement them, and it goes absolutely pear-shaped and it's crazy. You're like, what? That's not right. That's not how this game works. That's how you want it to work, but that's not how it works. I find that to be fascinatingly interesting. I have now, I don't think I've read player tips probably in 5 years. Like in particular, TCS and OCS and the SCS games, I will not read player tips. GCACW, I will not read them. Just can't do it. All right, Counter, thanks, mate. You've just motivated me to invite a couple of guys. Oh, do it. Yes, do it. Get guys over, roll some dice, have some fun. This is what it's all about with this hobby, man. It's what makes it freaking awesome, is connecting online with people. I really wish, maybe I need to start doing that. I'm more closer to being retired than not. And so I really should start trying to line up some gameplay during the day when I'm not being chored like a whore, like a slave, to play some more games on Vassal. Maybe that's something I should think about. I just struggle with attention span on Vassal. But anyway, that's a great point. So go get after it and roll some dice. That'll be awesome. And Scott is saying solo play by nature brings a lot of the rules interpretation. It can be frustrating. Yeah, if you cannot get all on answers, suggestions, but I really do think it makes you look deeper into the rules. I find myself. So I've been playing Hell's Highway, the Old Victory Games title, which is really what kicked off that whole nostalgia premium thing video, and I'm just finding it's not that interesting a game. I know that's like an anathema to everybody because I've had everybody telling me that it's the bee's knees, but the good news is that it's got me it got me in such a funk that I pulled out the rules to, what's the SBI one called? Highway to the Reich, I think it is. So I've got the second version, the old SBI tray version of that. I've got the rules out. I read them. I just realized I'd read them once before because I've got them all marked up and summarized. So I've been skim reading those and then going over the areas that I skipped when I was reading them. And I want to get that out, but I've got to plan it around these 4 other games that I've got coming in the near future. So we'll try and make something happen. Rob F., welcome here, my friend. Just moved to Canada, Montreal. Well, French people need friends as well. From the UK, no less. Need to rebuild my gaming circle. Oh, gosh. Well, I think there's a pretty decent community in Canada, number one. And then in Montreal, I believe there's There is a Montreal Wargame group for sure. You should look on Facebook for that. Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you, my friend. It's been a long time. Haven't done a live stream in forever. You guys are awesome. Thanks for chipping in and commenting, by the way. It really helps facilitate the conversation because, me being as somewhat, somewhat succinct as I am, I would tend to say some bullshit, then sign off, right? Anyway, let's see. We were talking about, so the other thing people were talking about examples of play and stuff like that. I think they're valuable for sure, and I certainly think that, hey, hang on a sec. Hey, whiskey, come. Hey, come. Bed. Good boy. Hey, come here. I gotta do this with the dog. Hang on. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Shh. We've got two chaps that are in here bidding or quoting on something. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, examples of play. I think GMT does a fantastic job with their examples of play. They're long and extensive and well documented and well imaged. And I do find them to be particularly valuable. But once again, I'd rather work it out myself than... I look at that as dead playtime because I play through the example of play and I see how things work out with it's all, because it's all manufactured, right? It's the exact die roll they want to demonstrate the example. So it doesn't really give you the full dynamic experience or whatever the case may be. That's why I'd rather soldier through the rules and deepen my learning of things than not. What else we got here? That's it, Rob. Yes, it's the Montreal, or it's Stack something Montreal, and they play at these amazing places. They look like postmodern freaking gaming areas with these beautiful pine tables and super ergonomic chairs and wine and cheese. It's all very civilized. It's all very fabulous. Anyway, right. So what else? What else is going on here? Not wanting to derail the topic, but I've just got DEFCON 2 notice from TRL Games. Oh, okay. So I have to be thoughtful about how I respond to this counter-terrorist because I'm a big fan of the Next War SBI game, although I believe it has flaws. And it also has flaws that other people have found that I didn't find. But Under an Iron Sky and that system in general, Sacred Oil and Deadly Northern Lights, I've only played a small naval scenario from Sacred Oil. I played the campaign 4 or 5 turns of the campaign of Deadly Northern Lights, and I played Under an Iron Sky 1, 2, at least 3 times, I think, but just smaller scenarios, and I set the campaign at once. And I've ordered the second edition. I think the changes that they made to that basically that Next War system are on point. I still think that the fundamental challenge with that game system is that it's potentially easy for NATO to kind of stack up where the Russians are going to go, right? Where the Soviets are going to go, where the Warsaw Pact units are going to go. And that makes it a little tricky. I think I think if you wanted to game this, if you really wanted to game that system, you could. Now, all that said, the maps are gorgeous, counters are pretty good, the rules are extremely crisp, lots of good charts and tables. It's well designed, the scenarios are good, and I think it's a game that you'll regret if you don't get it, number one, and then number two, if you do want to go get it later, you're going to pay $300-400 for it. I mean, I had the first edition of Deadly Northern Lights, and I sold mine for a pretty penny. I think I wanted to say it's either 275 or 375. I can't remember, but I didn't gouge people, but everyone wanted it, so I was like, oh, I'll sell it and I'll wait for a reprint. I knew there'd be one coming at some point. So anyway, Mark Herman, good to see you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone pause. Everyone pause. Living Legend is in the room, and I appreciate you being here, Mark. Good to see you. What you may have missed, Mark, is that I was talking about the fact that I have Pacific War set up, and I think it's breaking the Bismarck barrier. I've got all the counters out, and we're going to do the first 6 months and see how it goes as I play with that and get reacquainted with it. So glad you're here. We're not playing live at the moment, but we are just chit-chatting about it. So welcome. Rob, by the way, picked up some Spring Prelude and Kharkov Battles. Well, I'm sorry, don't do that. No, I'm kidding. No, that's good. You should. Look, I think they're both very good games. Kharkov Battles plays well, nice big hexes and fun, and Spring Prelude just really hit the sweet spot for me as a game that was playable, engaging, relatively historical, and just like lots of stuff going on for both sides. So it was very cool. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the EFS, right? I know we've got AGN coming out shortly. I've not played AGN before. It's one of the few modules I haven't played, and I'm super keen to get that to the table, which is why I'm using Pacific War as kind of my. It takes up quite a bit of space, but I'm using that as my filler. Until one of these four monsters, four or three. I've got three monsters about to arrive, and one kind of solitaire thingy. And so as they come in, I'll be reading the rules and all the rest of it, and we'll be playing Pacific War. Then moving on from there. Fourth Echelon is still no Achilles. He had just announced second edition is about to go to shipping. So if you want a copy, I believe there's only, did he say 750 or 1,000? I think a lot of them are spoken for. So if you want one, you need to email Fabrizio to get it. And by the way, Mark Herman, we were also talking about you about Next War and how fabulous that game is, and how Under an Iron Sky is a derivative and a homage to that design. All right, okay. What's been my experience with the GOS system? So that's two different questions there, Scott Caulfield, and I'm gonna. Oh, it is okay. So before I get to you, Scott. So Mark, that's interesting to see. Yeah. So I'm using the mini map, but there's still a couple of fold-out bits and pieces to take up space, but it's all good. I got room. That's all happy. So a Bismarck barrier looks very interesting. That's why I chose it, and I have not played it before, so I'm super excited. I played a handful of the campaign scenarios on your original version of Pacific War, which I enjoyed. But I not got to Bismarck barrier. So anyway, so let me just get back to Scott. So Scott. Look, I think the GOS system has a lot going for it. The Grand Operational Series system, or system series, whatever it is. But getting clarity on answers, yeah, that's a challenge. There's a lot of you could is the answer that comes from the designer, because I don't think he's been definitive about something, or is not really thinking about what's being asked, and wants too much kitchen sink and not enough game, right? I struggle with them. I've got 3 of the modules, and I want to love them, and I want to play them, and I want to be excited about them, but I don't enjoy the work that goes into digesting the rule book and digesting the nuance of the rule book. So there's a great example of where a full and complete example of play would be very valuable, that that's probably better than what I've seen in the rule books to date. So I would look, buy one of them secondhand and try it out, see if you like it, and if you like it, God bless you, knock it out. But look, I'm not interested in Vakdam Rhine at the Goss level. It doesn't work for me. I don't want to do the bulge at that level. Herkin, yeah, I'm kind of curious about it. And then I've got Lucky Ford, which I'd have no games on that particular battle space. So I'd be very interested in getting that to the table. I've only played a small scenario from that, and it's just I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it without being impolite. It's a lot of squeeze and not a lot of juice. All right, so you've got to really love it and like the attention to detail that it provides you at certain levels, and then nothing at other levels. This is kind of my takeaway. But anyway, there you go. Looks like you have got a Jeff Vesevic has put some suggestions in for Rob. That's fantastic. And it looks like you're in on. Oh, what's going on, boys? There's Wardrobe. Yeah, man, it's been forever since I've done a live stream. I don't know what's going on. Should I pull the trigger on Spring Prelude? Absolutely. Yeah, look, I think it's a great value for money, first of all. I think the production values are very, very high, and I've already said earlier on in this stream that it plays very, very well. I did a very extensive set of videos on that, a lot of shorts, a lot of 1 minute, 2 minute snippets of combat, bits and pieces and stuff like that, and like the what's going on in the game and all that sort of stuff. So it really struck a chord for me, and I think I was just coming off a bunch of sorry ass games that I had been playing, and it was just the rule book was clean and everything worked really, really well. It's way, way better than the is it called Case Blue? I think Jeff's, is it Jeff? Yeah, I think Blanchett, Greg Blanchett or Jeff Blanchett, I can't remember the designer's name now, but I think it's much, much better than his very first effort, which I think was the Case Blue game. That, I didn't like that very much at all, just artwork issues and some gamey rule issues. But everything after that, Kharkov Battles and Spring Prelude is very good. And then he has another system dealing with Kharkov as well, I believe, coming out in the near future as well. If you go skim around my videos on Spring Prelude, you'll see that he comments in on that, and because I did a play test of one of these other games anyway. So yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, see, like Wardrobe saying the same thing I am, pretty much. Achilles, thanks for the heads up, by the way. I recently used specific water run a live crits. Oh, damn. No, tell me how to. Okay, if you can, Achilles, tell us a little bit about that and how that all worked. I'd be very. If I had to buy 3 copies of it to do so, though. Interesting. Yeah, Mark's making money left, right, and center. Mark, is this book of yours still available for sale? Do I have to go? What do I need to do to suck up to you to get a free copy of that? Because I bought everything else you've made. It's about time to show me a little love and send me a free copy. Come on, and sign it with love from Mark. I'm kidding. You don't have to do that. Full Blau, thank you. Yeah, Case Blue, Full Blau, whatever it is. Yeah, that was the one. And it is Greg. Well, look at Mr. Smarty Pants here with all the answers. No, I don't think he's getting better at designing. I think that he is just, I think they have better development going on at Compass right now. I think Compass has really upped their game significantly. So, hey, Simo, good to see you again. Ooh, Mark, that's interesting. 6 designs. So where are you at now, and when should we start buying? I'm just kidding, buddy. All right, I might send you my address then, but I'm happy to pay for the game, by the way. I was just teasing, because then if you send it to me for free, I'm gonna have to tell everybody I like it. All right. So look, I've been on here for 45 minutes, and that wasn't the intention. But once again, I didn't even get to put a freaking heading in on this live stream either, which is really annoying. I must have missed that button. But the topic was and is, do we find that the immediacy of the internet provides us with excuses not to invest time in the rule book? And do we miss, based on my prior video on the nostalgia premium, do we miss the times when we had to sit down and work it out? We just had to work it out by ourselves and nut it out and delve into the game and try and understand what the designer's intent was and work your way through that rule book and then play the game to the best of your ability. And then do we feel that we're getting a little lazy with this whole instant access with DMs and instant messaging and email and online forums and PDFs and video tutorials and hold my hand while I wipe and let me wipe your ass for you, right? I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to sometimes. So I'm curious to see if what the new folks who have joined, what their thoughts are. Well, Wardrobe, why do you think that's different than a few years ago? Is it because you're getting old, dude? Like, is that your excuse, or you just don't want to invest the time? I think these devices we're on, right? That it's the dopamine hits that we're looking for. We're constantly doing this, right? Scrolling through our feeds instead of stopping and thinking and maybe reading a book or something. Yeah, I could see how Pacific War would be fabulous. Achilles would be fabulous as a Kriegspiel style double blind game. Just having that blank map in front of you. We played, what was it? Was it CV or was it the other one? Is it Carrier Battles? I can't remember now. But anyway, the Battle Line game set around the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea, whatever that Solomon Islands and all that nonsense. We played that double blind. It was a hoot. It was particularly a hoot because one of the guys got his aircraft types mixed up and had his torpedo bombers at high altitude and his dive bombers at low. And I got to decimate and just demolish his entire air force. It was fantastic, and they were Japanese as well. So it was. He asked for a do-over and allow us to switch the aircraft over, and we're like, bro, it's on the counter, number one, and number two, you should know your planes a little bit better. But anyway, he had his Kates and whatnot mixed up. Well, this is cool, Achilles. It's just great to hear all these things. All right, guys. Well, look, I tell you what, I'm going to, unless there are further comments on the downfall of the immediacy to responses online when we ask questions, I'm probably going to start to wind this up. Well, here we go. Wardrobe is saying, sure, attention span based on scrolling age. You're not that old, dude. Well, you know what? Set yourself a timer, sit down, and read for 10 minutes, and then give yourself a reward when you do it, a little piece of chocolate or something. And then slowly build that time up. That's one way that I taught my kids to have longer attention spans. All right, gentlemen. All the best. 50 minutes of fun and games. You guys have been awesome. It's great to do a live thing and just shoot the shit with you. And I look forward to, Pacific War is probably not a game I'm going to do live play on because I will butcher the rules badly, and you don't need to know that. But once I get some stuff on the table with some of these new games that are coming in, two of them I'm relatively familiar with the system, so we'll be able to do some live play maybe. And you may have to put up with me using filler words while I pontificate and look up rules. All right, all the best. Great hanging out with you guys, and thanks for getting after with me. And go roll some dice and find a friend and do it with them. Take care. Of course, I got to work out how to stop this damn thing.